Shalom Yashallah. First and foremost, I give our praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Gakudash, Ba'akti Yahweh, Ba'akti Yahushai, Ba'akti Yahweh, Ba'akti Yahushai, Ba'akti Yahweh, Ba'akti Yahushai. This is the Bari Ramya, back at you on another video. In today's lesson, it's going to be titled, you can also get cut by this word. Basically meaning, even though you wielding the sword, the sword can still be used against you. So, even though you using the words of Yahweh, in all righteousness, these words can still be used against you in all righteousness also. Basically, this word is a double-edged sword. Meaning you could get cut by the exact same things what you preaching, because you could preach and teach these things but not live by it, and that's when this word could also cut you, because once the correction and reproof is being brought to you, it can hit home, it can cut you, because you can see, and realize the BS, that you have done, or the BS that you're doing, So this word could be used as correction, also as teaching, First piece I'm going to get is the book of Hosea 4 and verse 12. And it reads, Salakia, wrong precept, Salak. This is the book of Hebrews, Salakia, 4 and 12. It reads, for the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, is quick and powerful, and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing sunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. So letting you know that even though you could use this word could also do damage towards you. You could even get cut by this word. I'd say, for the word of the Most High is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. So in this walk, you have to learn how to take reproof. Take correction, take reproof. You have to be able to accept, this word when this word is being brought to you, as long as the way you push out this word, and teach this word, because this word can be used, as both sides, it could be used, against you, or, it could be used, with you. So you just gotta pick a side, you just have to do the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because as I say, this word could be done, this word could cut you, and this word could, and you could use this word to teach and preach, Next precept we're going to get is 2 Corinthians 4 and 2. It reads, it reads, but have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty, not walking in craftiness, nor handling the word of the Most High deceitfully, but by manifestation of the truth, commending ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So the first will letting you know, using the words truthfully. You have to use the words truthfully, and you have to live in the things that you teach to others, because you can't use and handle the sword of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai deceitfully. As I stated, you can't be preaching and teaching these things but not living by it. It's the saying over here in the 242, practice what you teach. So you can't be teaching something else and doing something different. Doing something against the things that you teach against. So in the end, it all just slims down to not using the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, deceitfully, or with or with dishonesty, salak. As the precept say, 2 Corinthians 4:2, but have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty, not walking in craftiness, nor handling the sword of the Most High deceitfully. Meaning you can't hide. So even if you're doing, deceitful works in the sight of Yahweh, you can't hide that. You can't hide that. Because the Most High's eyes are 10 times better than the sun. You have angels encamped everywhere. You have angels all around, watching the things that you do, whether it be good or bad. As I say, the Spirit of Riches says, but by manifestation, meaning a declaration of the truth, commending ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of the Most High. So, as I say, you could also get cut by this word, because if you're using this word deceitfully, brothers could use this word to correct you, could use this word to cut you, to show you the folly in what you're doing, So you have the, walking the street as if you're walking on eggshells. You have to be very mindful of the things you're doing, whether it be big or small. You got to be mindful of all things you're doing, Before you do something, resort to the scriptures. Before you do something, pray about it, Before you do something, and you ain't sure, you could even ask a brother about it, a brother in the street about it, It all stems down to doing the work of Yahweh Shai in all righteousness and honesty. Because as the topic say, as the title of this video, you could also be cut by this word. Next precept, 2 Corinthians 2:17. It reads, for we are not as many which corrupt the word of the Most High, but as of sincerity, but as of the Most High. In the sight of the Most High speak we in Hamashiach. And these are the things that we must be speaking in. In the words of Yahweh Shai and Mashiach. And what are his words? The scriptures, this book. As I say, for we are not as many which corrupt the word of the Most High. Meaning using this word for their own benefit. Doing the things that is of the spirit, doing the things that is of the flesh, and not of the spirit of Yahweh Yahweh Shai. Which corrupt the word of the Most High, but as of sincerity. And this is why we always say, to those pushing this truth, in all humbleness, in all truthfulness and sincerity, in all honesty. But as of the Most High, in the sight of the Most High, speak we in a Mashiach, meaning speak the words of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Those are the only type of words, when we flow out our mouth, because anything against that is contrary to the law, and anything contrary to the law is sin, and sin brings correction, and this is where that word could be used as a double-edged sword, because this word could also be used to correct you, Next precept is Jeremiah chapter 48 and verse 10. It reads, cursed be he that doeth the work of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai deceitfully, and cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood. So going against this truth, the Most High said, cursed be in you. Doing this word deceitfully, the Most High said, cursed be in you. Cursed be the man that keepeth a sword from blood. Meaning you scared to give, you scared to push out the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem because you're scared of what others can think. You're scared of what others can say. That's keeping the sword block from blood. You scared to cut others for their foolishness. You scared to show them where they going off. And then where it say, Cursed be him that doeth the work of the Most High deceitfully, meaning, as I stated earlier, you're not practicing the words, laws, statutes, or commandments that you teaching, to Akim out there, That is doing the work of the Lord in vain, doing the work of the Lord deceitfully, because you ain't doing it with a sincere heart, you doing it for your benefit, For example, I can use your pastors for example, they ain't teaching and preaching the words of Yahweh in the Shai, but they always telling these people they come, in the steadfastness of Yahweh in the Shai, they come to us, in the words of the Most High, saying the Most High spoke to them in a dream or in a vision, But that's bull, bull, BS, because you saying these things, but you ain't bringing up no precepts to back it up. That's doing the work of the Most High deceitfully. Also, you telling Akim them to not do this. For example, a brother could be there telling Akim, to not go go inside of holiday houses, but he in there, every Sunday, telling the brother, stop eating abominable, but they eating abominable themselves, telling the brother to stop committing adultery, but you still sleeping around with your brethren wife, that's doing the work of the Lord deceitfully also, so all these different things, showing you that you doing the work of the Lord deceitfully, and that this sword could be used to cut you also, because you could use the words of the Most High, and wielding this sword, in all righteousness. But the minute you go off, a brother, can come down on you and show you the correction, show you the right way, My next precept is going to be Jeremiah 17 and verse 10, and it reads, I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. So Most High say, He is going to give according to the fruit of your doings, according to your ways. Meaning He search your heart. So He already know those men, that's going to be doing His work. That's going to be doing His work deceitfully. He already knows those men, that try hide all the darkness they do against Him, or in His sight. But guess what? Don't think what you've done in the dark won't come to light, because the Most High has a funny way and a strange way of revealing things. He will know. He will know. He have a funny way of revealing things. He could have you snitch on yourself. He could have it be done the way as you telling someone or you doing an action the way as you don't even know you're doing it consciously, that reveal that you're going off. So, as I say, I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings. So, it all trickles down to following the ways of Yahweh Shai, doing this work in all truthfulness and all sincerity, following in the ways of the Most High, doing and trying your hardest, to do His will. I have two more precepts, the book of Hebrews 10 and verse 26. For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there is needed no more sacrifice for sins. No more sacrifice for sins. Because you doing sin willfully. But when you know better, you'll do better. And this is where that sword is going to be used as a double edge, because as I say, when you're going off, Akim them can put you on blast for it. Your brothers them can come to you, first about it, tell you, hey, you're doing so and so wrong, come to you first in private, but if you continue on to do it and do it and do it, that correction is going to be made public now. you know, because you ain't learning from the previous correction. So the Most High is gonna have the Aki in them, you know, take that sword out on you, you know, and start cutting you, you know, left, right, and center, all because you doing sin willfully, because you know better, but you ain't want to do better, you know, all because you don't want to practice in what you teaching, you know. This last precept is, I'm going to get it, Jeremiah 23 and verse 29, and it reads, Is not my word like as a fire, said Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces? You know? Isn't it? Because once this word is being brought to you, it's going to come down hard. You know, it's going to hit, you know, the joints and marrow. You know, it's going to hit the heart. You know, at the first precept I opened up with said, you know, that Hebrews 4 and 12, you know, this word is going to come down to you hard, and it's going to be a hard pill to swallow because you already know better, you know. So it's up to you to want to do better. You know, it's up to you to want to do the work of Yahweh Shai in all truth and sincerity. You know, as I say, it's not like my word. It's not my word like as a fire, said the Lord, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces. You know, the Most High's word is very much powerful. You know, don't wield the sword deceitfully. You know, because it could be used against you. You know, but nonetheless, hopefully this lesson is much edifying and serve this purpose. I'll give a praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for putting the spirit upon me to do this video. Shalom.